male friends give each other a hard time. That is how we express our affection for one another, because otherwise you're gay. Gene Hackman, the passing of Gene Hackman at 95 under mysterious circumstances in Santa Fe. It's not mysterious that he died. He's 95, but his wife, who was younger by many decades, I think she was in her 60s, also was found dead, and a dog was found dead, and it apparently took a while to find them, so the police are now investigating. They say there's no sign of violence, and they did an autopsy, and they say that it doesn't look like, it sounds like it wasn't, but some unfortunate, sad ending to a life of incredible accomplishment. The guy was a terrific, terrific actor, but also a terrific character in the movies. I mean, he was a tough guy, but he could also play, dopes. He could also play comedy. He was really great. We know him by so many of his famous movies like Bonnie and Clyde, and of course, The French Connection, which was the movie that made him a star. He was in Young Frankenstein, a great film called The Conversation. He was also in a lot of movies in the 60s and 70s that were really interesting. That was a time of interesting filmmakers. There was a film called The Gypsy Moths that nobody talks about anymore, Downhill Racer with Robert Redford, Marooned, which was a very long outer space movie that I saw twice in 1 week. It's one of the only 2 or 3 times I've ever done that because I really liked it so much. And The Conversation I mentioned before, really great movies. And he had this persona of a tough guy that he kind of established in The French Connection. And here's a scene of him interrogating a guy, just absolutely, he played a real guy, Eddie Egan, who was called Popeye Doyle, I think they called him. And he broke up a tremendous drug sale, and they played him as he was, which he was kind of bigoted. He didn't like black people. He used the N-word all the time. And here he is interrogating a black suspect.
When's the last time you picked your feet, huh?
What's he talking about?
I got a man in Poughkeepsie who wants to talk to you. You ever been in Poughkeepsie? Huh? Have you ever been in Poughkeepsie?
Hey, man, come on, give me a break. I don't know what you're talking about.
Let me hear you say it. Come on. Have you ever been in Poughkeepsie? You've been in Poughkeepsie, haven't you? I want to hear it. Come on.
Yes, I've
You've been there, right?
Yeah.
You sat on the edge of the bed, didn't you? You took off your shoes, put your finger between your toes, and picked your feet, didn't you? Now say it.
Yes.
All right. You put a shield in my partner. You know what that means? Damn it. All winter long, I got to listen to him gripe about his bowling scores. Now, I'm going to bust your ass for those 3 bags, and I'm going to nail you for picking your feet in Poughkeepsie.
and there's a scene in it where he says, he's busting black guys all the time because they're the ones committing the crimes and carrying the drugs. But you don't really feel him as being hateful. But at one point, I think he says this line, never trust an N-word. And they cut that out in modern prints of the film. I guess they're not prints anymore, but you know what I mean, in modern versions of the film. And in doing that, they really reveal how far we have fallen as in terms of honesty in the arts, because this was a real person. Popeye Doyle, is that his name? I'm pretty sure. This cop that he was playing was a real person. He was a great, great cop, and he lived on the streets of New York, and he was a tough guy. And tough guys talk like this, but it's also more than that. It's this idea that somehow, we heard before with Andrew Cuomo, that somehow the past has to live up to our standards. And maybe we advance, but I'm not sure we really advance morally. I'm not sure we advance morally in the things we do. We may advance morally in the things that we pronounce. I guess the fact that no respectable person holds slaves anymore is good, but there's still slavery in the world, and there's sex slavery in the world, and there's things that we turn a blind eye to, and the FBI is obviously covering up the people who used what were essentially slaves on Jeffrey Epstein's island, so we still have things like that. I don't think we get much better. I think that technology creates the illusion that we have gotten better. I think technology makes life better. But it's interesting. Now, with the Trump administration, people have noticed that words that were unspeakable before are coming back, that we're starting to hear, racial slurs and derogatory terms for things like stupid people are coming back. And I think that that's a good thing. Did you know that scammers can steal your home with just a few forged documents? The FBI calls this house stealing. Criminals forge your signature, use a fake notary stamp, and file with your local recorder's office to transfer your home title. Then they can take out loans against your equity or sell your property without you knowing until collection notices arrive. When was the last time you checked your home title? If you're like me, never, which is exactly what scammers are counting on. That's why I trust Home Title Lock. Their $1 million triple lock protection helps keep your home and equity safe. Here's what you get: immediate 24/7 monitoring of your property, urgent alerts if there are any changes, and if fraud should happen, their U.S.-based restoration team will spend up to $1 million to fix the fraud and restore your title at no additional cost. Here's the best part. I've teamed up with Home Title Lock to give you a free title history report so you can find out if you're already a victim and get access to your personal title expert, a $250 value just for signing up. Go to HomeTitleLock.com and use my promo code Klavan250 or click on the link in the description and make sure to check out the $1 million triple lock protection details when you get there. That's HomeTitleLock.com, promo code Klavan250 to get the protection and peace of mind you deserve. And it's amazing. I'll show you why I think it's a good thing, because I certainly don't believe in being derogatory, and I don't believe in being bigoted. I think it's against God's image, to judge people by the color of their skin or by what race they're in or anything like that. Doesn't mean races aren't different. Doesn't mean some might not be higher achievers than others. I'm not a big believer in genetic determinism at all. I think it has its point, but I think that we've made a mistake about what genes do, and science is backing me up on that to my absolute shock. But here's a comedian out there, and this is happening a lot in comedy. This guy's named Mark Normand, and he's doing a stand-up bit, and somebody calls out that he's a black Hasidic Jew. He's black, but he's also an Orthodox Jew. And Mark Normand takes this heckler essentially up and starts to ad-lib. This is a great moment.
Black Hasidic Jews.
Black Hasidic Jews? Is that you, sir?
Yes, sir.
Whoa, get him! No, I'm kidding. Black Hasidic Jews. Holy sh**. That's a crazy combo, huh? You must have the curliest hair on the planet. Holy hell. Black Hasidic Jews. What is your yarmulke off to the side, I bet that guy can spin a dreidel faster than any other heeb out there, I'll tell you that. Wow, they must have really cut off a lot of foreskin on that thing, I'll tell you that. You could be an athlete and your own sports agent. What's your name, sir?
Taylor.
Oh, something fun, like Arsenio Weinstein or something.
Shalom.
Shalom, yes, exactly. Shalom.
Now that's actually funny ad lib. Shalom. So, what I love about this clip is, if you look at his eyes, you can see him going through like a calculator all the cliches about black people and Jewish people and putting them together in jokes in real time. An incredibly quick wit, as comedians have to have. And there's no animosity in him. There's no hatefulness in him. He's just funny, and everybody's laughing, and the guy is laughing, and all this stuff. And I think, as I've said this before, but I just think it's true. Friends, especially male friends, make fun of one another. Friends tease each other. Male friends give each other a hard time. That is how we express our affection for one another, because otherwise you're gay, right? So that's why we do it. And so we tease each other and we make fun of each other. And if you can't do that, all you get is the hate, right? If you can't tease your wife, then it comes out in anger. If you can't joke around with your buddies who are a different race and maybe annoying you, maybe have annoying traits that you associate with that race, then all you have is the anger. I grew up in a town that was half Jewish, and I got in a lot of fistfights, and it was a long time before I realized that I was fighting with non-Jewish kids most of the time, because there was never any slurs. We just didn't think about it. It was kind of, we were all Americans. We really didn't think about that. The first time anybody ever called me by a racial slur was in a fist fight, the last fist fight I ever got into, which was when I was a teenager. And I dusted the guy, knocked him down, and he was embarrassed in front of his friends because he had called me outside because he thought I was flirting with his girlfriend, which wasn't true. And as I walked away, he called me a nasty name for a Jew. And it never occurred to me that meant anything except that he was angry, just like if somebody cuts you off in traffic and it happens to be a black guy, a stupid black guy, whatever happens to be a woman, woman drivers. You just are expressing your anger and racializing it and personalizing it, because that's what people do. We personalize the things that we think. We personalize our ideas. And so I think that in getting rid of characters, like the characters that Gene Hackman often played, especially early on in his career, where I thought he made some really, really interesting films. And especially in that film, The French Connection, where he played a cop who had a lot of, anger, and a lot of energy, and a lot of, New York aggression against other races. By cutting that out, we're not actually making the world better. It's just like silencing speech. We're making it worse. And I think that we shouldn't be afraid to portray good people with typical human flaws, because we all have typical human flaws. And this idea that somehow, this woke adolescent idea that somehow we have arrived to make everything perfect is the idea. It's the idea of children. It's the idea of people who grow up watching superhero movies instead of good movies, like the movies that were made by Gene Hackman. If you love that, and I know you did, like and subscribe to The Andrew Klavan Show wherever you get your podcasts.